Morning. Real quick, I think Mr. Fred mentioned that Landon, Logan, and Olivia all got awards for their karate, but also wanted to mention that Josiah and Eli did as well. So our kids are showing up and kicking some karate bottom. So that's cool. Welcome. We're glad that you're here this morning. And if you haven't heard, today is Avery and I's last Sunday here at Rose Hill as the youth and family minister. And I would just like to start by saying thank you. Thank you to everybody here, to our church, this church family. You have shaped me into the minister that I am today, and Avery and I will always treasure our time here. Our first 2 years of marriage, it's been a special time away from home to grow as a couple, as people of faith, and to do it with all of you has been invaluable. Also thankful to our students. We have loved getting to know each and every one of you, from our Bible Discovery Zone age all the way up to our youth group kids. We are so confident that God will continue to guide and strengthen you as you grow in your faith. We're thankful to our parents and grandparents for their involvement in the youth ministry, and just an encouragement to never underestimate the profound impact that you can have on your children and your grandchildren. I have told a story many times before, but my grandmother was one of the greatest faith examples to me and my grandfather, but your impact is bigger than you think it is. Thankful to Cindy. I know she's not here today. Neither is Nathan. I think they're both protesting my departure. But thankful to Cindy, our church secretary, for her help around the office and for just being a friend. Thankful for Nathan and Richard. You have taught me so much about what it is to be a minister and to love others and to love others well. Your example has also been invaluable to me, and thankful, last of all, to Alan, Stan, and Fred. I'm deeply grateful for your leadership, your guidance, and the way that you have shepherded me in my ministry to be better. This has been a wonderful step in our transition to Ohio, and we will continue to carry you in our thoughts and in our prayers. And so I thought to kind of accompany this time of thankfulness, I'd show a few pictures of our time here, just some moments that have been special to us, some funny, some good. But this first one was our first move down. We had a group of people show up and move like all the 5 items we had into our apartment. But I don't even think we had a bed yet when everybody moved us in. But it's so cool to see the little kids in that picture and how big they are now. And it's only been 2.5 years since that moment. But this one is our first trip with the youth group to Exposure. And so this was a great first opportunity to get to know our kids on a deeper level. I just love this picture. It just looks iconic. I'm going to guess just Ethan standing off in the background with his, I'm going to guess they got first place. I don't even remember, but I just loved this moment. All our kids together, not even looking at the camera. I mean, it looks scripted. It looks like it's out of a movie, but I just love that picture I think that's my first Lads to Leaders convention. And then this is a picture of me not really face-to-face to a lion, but it just reminded me of my time in Africa. We got to see a lion while there, just a time to minister to people over in Africa. And there are a lot of other special pictures I could have chosen, but I just saw that one. And this is from CYC last year. We got to stay in a cabin in the woods. Well, not really in the woods, but in Pigeon Forge, but a special time with that group of kids. And then our volleyball team, this is our first championship, and then we two-peated, and sadly I got traded away this season, so they're going for the three-peat, and I will be rooting against them probably. And then a special moment, got to know some of our younger ones at camp this past summer and loved this picture. I think, a couple more. And then this is my garden. I'm a northerner at heart, but Mr. Stan taught me how to garden during my time here. So this is the peak of my beautiful garden that I had. and just some beautiful flowers and a couple cucumbers, but I've loved that. And then this last picture, one of my favorite moments was that I got to take a group of boys on a mission trip to Huntsville, Alabama to lead a VBS for some inner city kids. Anyways, we saw a cool wall, took a jumping picture, and I hope these pictures kind of show you that we have a great group of kids, and we've had a great time here at Rose Hill. I'm going to go to this next slide. I forgot to put a blank slide in there, but we'll start here. This morning, I would like to leave you all with an encouragement for your faith journey as individuals and as a church. As we've been packing a lot this week, a lot of packing, I was reminded of the time Avery and I got to study abroad while we were in college. We got to go to Greece and to Italy, but one of the most memorable things that we got to do is we got to hike Mount Olympus. For those of you that are familiar with that, that's the legendary home of the gods, if you're familiar with Greek mythology. But it was an incredible experience. It was challenging, and it taught me a lot about perseverance, awe, and the journey itself. But in Scripture, mountains have always had spiritual significance. They're places of wonder where people feel closer to something that's greater than themselves. Throughout Scriptures, mountains were often sites of divine encounters, places where God's presence was revealed. In Psalms 121 reads, "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth." So what I want to do for you today is kind of paint an analogy of faith to that of hiking a mountain. And so again, for those of you that are familiar with nature and mountains, I'm not all that familiar with, the intricacies of nature, but I got to hike a mountain once, so I can talk about it. But at the base of the mountain, and this is just pictures from our own journey, but at the base of the mountain is typically a place that's full of life. It's got lush trees, there's sometimes rivers, abundant growth. And when considering this and comparing it to our faith, this can often represent the early days of our faith, a time of building relationships, a time of excitement and spiritual nourishment. But as you climb, as you begin the journey, the path gets steeper, the vegetation thins, and the obstacles increase. The air becomes thinner, and the journey requires greater endurance. In the same way, faith journeys come with struggles. That learning endurance, relying on God, and overcoming obstacles is important to completing this mountain hike. Now, I'll just go into a little bit and describe a little bit more of what our journey was like when we hiked this mountain. But climbing that mountain was my clicker stopped working. All right. Well, if it comes back up, we'll try it again. Climbing that mountain was a 2-day journey. The first day was enjoyable. If you just love hiking, the scenery was beautiful. This is a picture. If you saw the one before, we started off in a bit of fog, and about halfway through our journey that day, we ended up in the heat of the sun. And it got a little bit of rain here and there, but it was just beautiful being out in nature. After about 6 hours of hiking, though, exhaustion begins to set in. You begin to wonder, where's this going to end? But that night we stayed at a lodge, and about the halfway point, they cooked us up a big old bowl of bolognese, which is like spaghetti. I'm sure it's a little bit different. To me, it reminded me exactly of spaghetti when I ate it. But at that elevation, it begins to get pretty crisp, pretty cold, a very stark contrast to the heat of the day. And the next morning, we woke up, and we got to see the sunrise. Sorry, you don't see the sunset in the morning. The sunrise. This is actually the first time I ever saw a sunrise before. But we were nestled right into the top of this valley in the mountains. You can see the beautiful clouds. The sun actually hasn't even started coming up yet. I got to capture this photo. But it was just breathtaking. It honestly doesn't even do it justice. Then we set out again, and this began the hard part of the journey. The trail became steeper. It became rockier and much narrower. And when I say that, I really mean it. I'll even show you a little bit of a picture. As this is our hike upwards, you can barely just see this line that goes downward. You probably can't see it from my picture, but maybe you can. And like I'm no joke, 2 feet to the left or to the right, and you're met with a pretty steep drop. And at least that's what it felt like to me. And so like you just had to have extreme focus with every step that you took. Once you got to this part, you needed to know that you weren't stepping off. You couldn't let exhaustion, make you be lazy. You had to be really intentional with every step. Our goal in this journey was to reach 2 peaks, 2 summits. We reached the first summit as the group, but as we got there, we had like a tour guide, and he told us only those who were physically fit enough were allowed to go to the second peak. We had some time constraints going on, and it was actually a very emotional experience for a lot of people. They were very upset. They were just told, you're not allowed to go to this second peak, which was just a few feet higher. And he said, for those that do go, are physically fit enough, we're going to run. And now I'm not a physically fit enough person for what he was requiring us to do, but I was not about to let anybody tell me that I'm not making it to that second peak. So I ran, even though it hurt, even though it was painful. I ran, and I'm not even lying to you. I mean, there was like 5 girls, 5 guys that went, and I was at the very back, barely keeping up. I was heavy mouth breathing. I was toast. And it was about a 20-minute grueling run to this second peak. And as we were running, this girl who's just right in front of me, she finally turns around and she starts jumping up and down. I can't do it. And I just remember being like, we're so close. Like it's like right there. I can see it now. And I just remember grabbing her backpack, and I pushed her up the rest of the, maybe 5 minutes that we had left of running. And we got there, but sometimes you just need a little bit help up the mountain to keep you going and to get you to the finish. And so we made it up there, and it was this amazing experience. To get to the finish line, it was wonderful. It was beautiful. All to make the point. That during our journey, during our moments of climbing, and kind of painting this picture of how at the bottom of the mountain we get this growth, and as you climb you see this growth, but as you get up to the top, this vegetation thins, exhaustion sets in. And this is great experience at the end. It's wonderful, but that growth happens in the valleys. But it is the climbing that strengthens your faith. The climbing that strengthens your faith. That when life gets harder, as we grow in faith, we shouldn't be discouraged. Instead, we should see it. We should see our struggles as evidence that we are moving forward. Just like an athlete who trains harder to grow stronger, our spiritual struggles refine and strengthen us for what God has ahead. And so I won't leave you without seeing what we saw once we got to the peak. But that's what we got to. You're just seeing rocks the whole time. When you finally get to the top, it's like, man, you can see everything. You can see how far you've come. You can see for miles and miles. But it's cold up there, and it's freezing. And just that experience reminded me of this passage. In Matthew chapter 17, 1-5, which reads, After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was, transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. That Jesus took Peter, James, and John up on a high mountain where they saw his glory revealed. It was a powerful moment. But they couldn't stay there, right? I mean, they had to go back down. This is a beautiful moment, right, where the summation of the law and the prophets are fulfilled in Christ. A moment of awe for the disciples where they have been given divine clarity on who this man is. If they had doubts about Jesus before this moment, they should not have after it. That peak moments in our life can be, I skipped a part. That when we reach peak moments in our faith, we can feel a deep sense of fulfillment, a deep sense of accomplishment, and a deep sense of joy. It's a place of clarity where we can look back and see how far we've come. Things like breakthroughs or a deep sense of accomplishment and joy. The commitment we find in baptism, or the feeling of transformation, and that God is doing something in our lives. From the summit, it may feel like a moment that we can live in forever. But again, we aren't meant to live at the mountaintop. If you remember, not a lot of vegetation, not a lot of life up there, and it's very, very cold. It's a moment of encouragement, yes, but it's not the destination. That baptism is not the final destination in your journey. That moments of clarity are the great, encouraging, wonderful, aren't the destination in your journey. That God has given us a call that proceeds from those wonderful moments. And so that means we must descend into our mission. The mountaintop moments are meant to strengthen us for the mission. So once we've reached the peak, right, the natural next step is to begin our descent back down the mountain. However, we know that the descent can be just as difficult as the climb. There are loose rocks, dangerous footing, but the goal and mission have shifted. Here, let's read another passage, a little bit small. I'll read it for you. But Matthew 28:16 through 20. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. This is the passage of the Great Commission. We're all probably very familiar with it. But after his resurrection, Jesus met with his disciples on this mountain, and he doesn't tell them, hey guys, we can sit up here forever. Like I've come back, we're great. All of us sitting here, all 13 of us, 12 of us. But he sends them out to make disciples of all nations, to proceed from that moment back down the mountain and into the world. It reminds me of if you know me, you know that I enjoy some C.S. Lewis, but it reminds me of this book. If you're looking for a short read, it's called The Great Divorce. Now, this is referring to the divide that exists between heaven and hell. It's an allegory about the journey a soul takes to get from hell to heaven. And just to describe it a little bit, it begins with lost souls who are considered, they basically look like ghosts. They're see-through. They're not solid yet. They appear much like you would see a ghost in a movie. And they are invited to leave behind their sins and embrace God's grace. Now, in the story, there's lots of symbolism and interesting moments. But in the story, there are these solid people who have accepted and embraced Christ, and that they journey down the mountain to minister to the souls that are still lost, and invite them up the mountain towards heaven, towards God. Now, again, just an allegory about this divide, but I think, what a great example for our faith journey. That we've all had some journeys we make in life, that we climb up mountains, we have some awesome peak moments, but that the mission calls us to descend back down the mountain to minister to those, to have an encounter with the world. And that's not something that he just calls a few of us to, right? This is something that he calls all of us to love others, not leave them, to love others and to share Jesus with them. That the mission is not on top of the mountain, it's in the valley. And then even though coming down means stepping into the unknown, we must trust that God is with us and that he has a plan. And so the mission continues in the descent. Our faith isn't meant to be stationary. So now that we understand kind of the different aspects of this journey, I think it's also important to consider what should we take with us? What kinds of things should we take with us in this journey? When hiking, you learn that you have to pack light. You have to pack light. Carrying unnecessary weight can slow you down. And I think the same is true for faith, that what we take with us matters. When we packed for our abroad trip, this was my backpack right here. For a 3-month trip across Europe, that was everything I owned, everything that I needed fit into that bag right there. And there were, things that I had to sacrifice. I'd laid it all out on my bed the week before we left, and there were things that I was like, I need to put some boots in there. I couldn't fit them. I was like, all right, sacrifice the boots. I can't shove a winter coat in there. That's fine. I've got a sweatshirt. And I will say, like, there was some things I was like, great, I had it. Nobody else had that. Thought to bring that. And I will say that, not bringing hiking shoes and hiking in tennis shoes was a terrible mistake. Terrible for your feet. And not having a winter coat once December set in was terrible. And so, you learn your lesson. But packing light and bringing what is essential is important. But as we step into faith, what we bring with us matters, and what we don't bring with us matters just as much. Hebrews 12:1 reads, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." So, what should we pack? As I was writing this lesson, I was like, man, what kinds of things would you really pack for a journey of faith? And no joke, I've walked probably up and down this hallway every day, every week, and never crossed my mind that every day at the end of this hallway there is a cork board that has the fruits of the spirits on it. And I don't know, that this week I was like, man, what a great thing. And I know there's a song. I'm not going to sing it up here today. I probably could, but yes. Galatians 5, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Well, I think that we could probably have a sermon or a sermon series about each of those items, and I'm not going to get a chance to go through all of those, but just a couple to note and a couple I will add is, man, I think that if we step into our journey without faith, I think we're missing out on some great opportunities to encounter God. That when we bring faith with us, no matter the circumstance, and trust that God's going to continue his work in the world, that he's going to continue his work in each of us, whether we want him to or not, God is going to continue his work, and we have a chance to participate in that. If we forget to pack love, man, what a thing that we could miss out on. That we need to love God. That we have a love for each other and for those yet to know him. That we bring wisdom with us. That we bring the lessons learned, the experiences that shaped our faith. That we bring the right people with us. That we surround ourselves with the church that will lift us up and push us in our faith to be accountable and to be better. And so, pack light. Bring only what is essential. If we left love at home, then maybe we're going to miss out on some wonderful opportunities for others to experience the love of the gospel. That if we left faith in the back seat of the car as we walk into the door to work, then perhaps we're going to miss out on some opportunities to share faith in our daily circles. So be mindful in everything. about the things that you bring with you each and every day. It reminds me of that saying, somewhat connected, of check your attitude at the door. It's like a valet driver or a coat room attendant who take your car keys or your coat when you walk into a building. You know, we often come to this church, or we go home, or we come to work with baggage, with our struggles, with everything. But we have an opportunity to come to God. And like a valet driver or a coat room attendant, God is happy to take what you're carrying. And when you're ready, and when you put your trust in Him, your faith in Him, when you're ready to walk out those doors again, or in those doors again, I think God gives us the courage and the strength to conquer our baggage. That when I come home, I have a chance to bring my baggage in the door, and I can use it against Avery, or I can say, hey, Avery, I'm really struggling today. Can you help me up the mountain today? That when Avery comes home and she's bringing her baggage through the door, that I have an opportunity as a husband to say, let me help you up the mountain today. And I think the same is true for your kids, for your spouses, for family, for your co-workers. I think that one of the greatest gifts God has given us, that has given you and given Avery and I, is each other. Now, a lot of this is probably easier said than done. And this morning in our teen class, we just talked about the gospel. The gospel is everything. This good news, this faith that we hold on to in Jesus. It's what establishes our steps. It's how we direct every single aspect of our life. Jesus is everything. He is life. He is truth. He is worth every step of this journey, no matter the obstacle, no matter the change, no matter the heartbreak, that He is God. And if I could leave you with anything today, it would be that Jesus has come, that He has lived, that He has died, He has risen, and He is coming back again. And so my final encouragement for you today is to consider, what part of the journey are you on? Are you at the base of the mountain, enjoying some relationship and some exciting times? Are you beginning the climb to strengthen your faith, to grow and mature in Christ? Are you at the peak? Are you at this wonderful moment of awe in your faith and in life? Or are you descending into the mission for which God has called all of us to lead those who are lost? So this morning, I was trying to think of what's a great way I could conclude this message. And when we were at Harding, on our last chapel, we have chapel like every day at Harding, and that's a college for those of you who are not familiar with Harding. But our last day of chapel as a senior, they make all the seniors come forward and they sing a song to us. I'm not going to sing for you this morning. I probably could. I'm just not that great of a singer, but the song they sang comes from this passage, Numbers 6:24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. That the Lord turn His face towards you and give you peace. If you have any needs at this time, or if you want to respond in some way, we just ask that you come forward as we stand and sing.